Alright guys, welcome to Firearm Farm, and today we're going to be comparing two of the top 22s on the market, the Marlin Model 60 and the Ruger 1022.
Alright, well right off the bat you can tell that the Marlin Model 60 is a little bit longer than the Ruger 1022, and the Marlin Model 60 is tubular fed. It holds 18 rounds, 19 if you had one in the chamber, and then the Model 1022, it's called 1022 because it has a box magazine that holds 10 rounds, and it sits up here flush. It's not loaded. Neither of these guns are loaded. They're both on safety, and it sits on there flush. You can't see it, and they're both really good rifles. But the trigger on the Ruger 1022 is a lot wider than the Marlin Model 60, and I like that a little bit more. And this is my personal rifle. I use this more, and I personally like the trigger on the Ruger 1022. But the Marlin Model 60 has a little bit more stiffer action, which it could be because of use. I'm not sure. And the Ruger 1022 has a little bit smoother action, which I like that a little bit more. And of course, the Ruger 1022 has a scope on it, but we're gonna do some accuracy tests and maybe some penetration tests, and we're just gonna use iron sights. So hope y'all enjoy it.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing today is our long-range accuracy test, and we're shooting from about 50 yards. And the first gun we're using is the Ruger 1022, and the first 5 rounds are Federal Gold Medal, and the second 5 are CCI Mini Mags. And we're shooting at the left plank of wood. Alright, now we're shooting the right plank of wood with the Marlin Model 60, and the first 5 are CCI Mini Mags, and the second 5 are Federal Gold Medal. Alright, now let's go check out the groupings on both of the targets. Alright, so now we're at the target that we shot with the Ruger 1022, and there are 4 of 10 holes, and 3, 4. Our shooter's not the problem. He's a great shot. This iron sights are a little off, as you can tell, but I mean, it was 50 yards, so most Ruger 1022s aren't going to be this off, but this one was for some reason. Alright, and now as we go to the shot with the Marlin Model 60. Alright, there are all 10 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so there are the 10 holes. You can see, I mean, this is a 50-yard cluster, and there's both were using iron sights. So that's not too bad. That's a pretty good grouping for how far that was. So in this scenario, the Marlin Model 60 definitely was more accurate at 50 yards than the Ruger 1022. But as we said, most Ruger 1022s aren't going to be off as that one was. Alright, so it was obvious to us that the iron sights on the Ruger weren't doing what they were supposed to. So now we're back shooting inside the knot of this wood with the scope, and we're using 5 rounds of CCI Mini Mag. Alright, let's go see what happened. Alright, so now we're up close with the rounds that we shot out of the Ruger with the scope with the CCI mini mags. You can see all 5 were hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a pretty tight bead. So like we said, most Rugers aren't going to be as off as the one with the iron sight was, but you know, I've been using that one for years, hunting and everything. It's been dropped, so. Alright guys, so we've done a long range accuracy test from about 50 yards, so now we're going to be doing a closer range accuracy test, shooting at these beer cans from about 25 yards. So the first gun we're going to be using is the Ruger 1022, and we're shooting 1 round at the left beer can. Alright, and just note we're using CCI mini mags right now. Shooting at the right beer can with the Marlin Model 60. Alright, let's go check it out. Alright, so we retrieved the beer cans, and this one was the one shot with the Ruger 1022, and the shot was a little high. And these beer cans were actually frozen, I forgot to mention that. So you can see went in, went out pretty clean through the top, and there's a little bit of icy beer left for you. And now as we go over to the one shot with the Marlin Model 60, see the entrance, and it destroyed the back, and again, there's nothing left. Alright, and now we're going to be doing a penetration test with each of the rifles, and while we don't expect there to be really much of a difference at all, because I mean they're both 22s using CCI mini mags, we're going to see if there's any difference. And the first, we're going to be shooting the Ruger 1022 about 2 inches low of the top left corner of the steel pan. Alright, so that was the first hit. Let's go check it out. Alright, so the scope was probably about 1 inch or so high. You can see it went through the first pan. It did go through the second pan. And then you can see how it did not go through the third pan. Now, here's the bullet, and you can see, you know, it flattened everything that a standard bullet's gonna do. Alright, so now we're gonna reset the pans and shoot the Marlin Model 60 and see if there's any difference. Alright, so now we're going to be doing the penetration test with the Marlin Model 60, and we're going to be shooting in the near the top right corner, about 2 inches down. Alright, let's go check it out. Alright, so here's the bullet hole in the first pan, so as you can see it went through. Now we're at the second pan, and the bullet did not go all the way through. It's stuck in the wood, or not the wood, it's stuck in the metal pan right here. So the Ruger 1022 did go all the way through this pan, as you can see here, but the Marlin Model 60 did not. Alright, so now we're going to do a second round of penetration testing, and we're going to be using the first gun we're using right now is the Ruger 1022, shooting like the middle left of the first pan. Alright, let's go see what it did. Alright, so we're up at the pans from the second test with the Ruger 1022, and as you can see, here's the entry hole, and it easily went through the first pan as expected. And it did go through the second pan, you can see that.
Oh, there's the bullet right there.
So it hit the pan, but it did not go through. And here's the bullet, and you know, flattened out as usual. So let's get a second round with the Marlin Model 60. Alright, so now we're going to be doing the second round penetration test with the Marlin Model 60, aiming in about the middle right of the pan. Alright, let's go see what happened. Alright, so just to remind you guys, the first test, it went through the first pan and got stuck in the second pan, so let's see what happens this time. As you can see, here's the first entry hole. You know, it went through the first pan as expected. As we get to the second one, oh, there's the bullet. It got stuck again. So it went through the first one both times and got stuck in the second both times. So I guess you could say that there is a slight difference in power between the two rifles, as the Ruger 1022 has gone through both the first two pans both times. Alright, just to furthermore prove the accuracy of these guns, we're about to be shooting 3 shotgun shells off the top of our barricade. And you know, that just proves exactly how accurate these guns are. Alright, so it's the end of our testing, and the first test, which was the long range, the Marlin Model 60 outperformed the Ruger 1022 in the irons with the iron sights, but as we said, most Rugers, Ruger 1022s aren't going to be as off as this one was, and you saw how accurate it was when we shot it with the scope. And then the second test, the close range, both did well. There wasn't really a difference there. And the last test, the penetration, the Ruger 1022 outperformed the Marlin Model 60 as it went through 2 plates instead of the Marlin Model 60 got caught in the second plate. So in the end, these are both 2 really good guns, and our official decision is basically it's a tie. It's up to personal preference, and you know, however you feel with your gun. But as we said, these are both 2 outstanding 22 rifles.
All right, and you know, like you said, it's personal preference, and to be honest, the Ruger 1022 is a lot more customizable than the Model 60 right here. You can customize the Model 60 by putting a couple different stocks on it, but overall the Ruger 1022 is a lot more customizable with magazines and optics and stocks and everything you could think of.
All right, so as we said in the end, it's basically a draw. And if you liked our videos, make sure you subscribe and like our video, and we'll see you next time.